What's up guys, David here and welcome to the Fit Pro Daily. This week's guest interview is with Kellen Lake. Kellen is coming on to share his experience and his knowledge, to share how he's battled through obstacles in every step of his life to get him to a point of where he is now. He went from living in the USA to living in Brazil to living in Asia and then returning to the US to run a super successful fitness business. But before we do dive into this week's guest interview, if you haven't already joined us inside our free Facebook group, then head over to Facebook, search for FitPro, Lead Gen with Dave, request to join and get access to even more guides, downloads, hints and tips, guest interviews, and much, much more. Anyway, let's dive into this week's guest interview. Hey guys, David here and welcome to the Fit Pro Daily. This week's live guest interview is with Kellen Lake, all the way from sunny USA, I'm guessing. Is it sunny with you?
Yes, it is sunny actually. North Carolina, by the beach kind of.
Oh, lucky you. It's sunny outside, but freezing here in Wales, yeah. It's pretty quite a bit different with you.
100%. We get snow like maybe once a year, maybe.
Yeah, we don't get snow, it's just always cold and wet, and that's just typical Welsh weather. Cool, okay, so before we actually started, we had a real quick chat about what we were going to talk about today, and you were coming out with this massive story, and I was like, no, don't tell me, I want to listen as we do it live, so don't miss anything, because it sounds like it's going to be a great interview. So the interview is going to be called Obstacles Are Opportunities. So I'm guessing a lot of this does have a business and marketing side of it as well.
Yes, because basically all the things that happened in my life, I never in a million years wanted to own my own business. That was terrifying. Two, I was always called stupid and slow. And three, everyone was like, hey, you know how to coach and lead people, but your administrative skills are like absolutely garbage. There is no way you could possibly own a business, run a business, and let it actually scale it.
Yeah,
and because of my life circumstances, and I'm very, I don't want to say religious, but I have a very strong faith. And in my story, you're going to see how God essentially led me and guided me every step of the way to form me into someone who can not only create a fitness business, but scale it and grow it out of my garage to now it's the number one ranked personal training studio in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I did that in less than 3 years. We're on year 5 now.
Okay. So let's go back a few more years than those last 5 years. How did you kind of get started? How does this story all start?
So it's a great question. So I have a unique background. All right. From the ages of 1 to 10, I grew up in Montana. Montana's way up north, tons of snow, ice right by Canada. And when I was 10, my parents felt a calling to go to Brazil and be missionaries in Brazil. Okay. And thus, my brother and I, Kyler, we moved to Brazil. And in Brazil, learning a new language, and everything that entails, learning a new culture, was so difficult, terrible. But as a result of that, I learned a new language. I learned how to adapt and to grow and to be somewhat charismatic and asking intuitive questions to other people, because in Brazil, machoism is an actual thing. Okay, Brazilians are super nice people, but when you're the only American on the soccer field or playground, after 2 or 3 weeks, guess who gets picked on all the time? The 11-year-old kid who looks like he's 14, 15. Okay, everybody wants to beat up on the American kid. And it sucked, okay, 100%. But what happened is in Brazil, let's say you get beat up, the idea is you basically run away, you live in shame for 2-3 weeks, and then you come back, and then you're kind of accepted. I didn't know that. So I just kept showing up to the playground trying to be nice and getting the crap beat out of me over and over and over again. So through persistence, I just long story short, they accepted me, and I played soccer my entire life. Oops, sorry. And then, so long story short, I knew growing up in Brazil, I played soccer all my entire life, but I knew my parents could not afford to send me to college or university. And so in my mind, I had 2 options. I could either join the military, okay, or I could get an athletic scholarship, get a purse, and I don't know how they do things over there. Do you guys have athletic scholarships for college? No.
Yeah, at certain levels. It depends on the sport and everything as well. It's not the same as the US.
But like, does it make sense when I say an athletic scholarship or no? Or should I break that down a little bit?
No, I think it's
Makes
in all these US films. We kind of know where you're going now.
Okay, gotcha. So, U.S. films. So that's kind of funny. So anyway, I got an athletic. So I went to the States because people were saying, Kellen, like you're big, you're strong, you're fast. You played soccer your entire life. I never touched American football my entire life. Okay, typically speaking, in the U.S., when you start playing football at the age of around 12 to 13. I didn't touch a ball until I was 17. I came back to the States my senior year, my last year in high school, and I played because in my mind it's like I have to get an athletic scholarship if I want to go to university, or I have to join the military. I didn't want to go in the military at the time, and by an act of God, I did well. I succeeded, and I got an athletic scholarship offers from 5 different universities. I ended up going to Montana State University Northern, and while I was there, basically, but what's funny is even before that, I had teachers before I went to college who told me I was never going to go to college. I was too dumb. My grades weren't good enough. I was always dyslexic, so I was always confusing stuff. And the kids, so all these people who told me that, all their kids were fighting to get into these universities. And just from an act of God, I was getting recruited. I was getting pursued to go to colleges. And for me, I was like kind of scared and intimidated, but I was like, you know what? Maybe these people like can't define me. Maybe these people, maybe what they say aren't the rules of life. And so anyway, I went to college. Long story short, I did really well. I was a co-captain my last year. I was a first team all conference left tackle. I also grew to be 308 pounds. So in kilos, that's like 145 kilos.
Okay.
So I was a giant dude, not in a good way either. I mean, it was a little bit of both. And so I was captain. And then after I did that, I became a certified strength and conditioning coach, able to do physical education, K through 12. And I did student teaching in the States. And I was like, these kids are nuts. There is no way that I want to teach English or teach anybody in the US because these kids are off the chain. So I literally Googled training abroad. Boom, South Korea, go teach English in South Korea. So I kid you not, 2 weeks later, I get on a plane and I'm in South Korea teaching illegally, but I didn't know that at the time. So I arrive in Korea, okay, and at the time in Korea, there you had to be a teacher, you had to get a certain visa, okay, and the school that I went to, they were hurting for a teacher so bad that essentially they're like, yeah, come, it's no problem. Nah, we don't need those documents, just come. So I flew into Korea and I started teaching, and I was teaching illegally in Korea. And one of the classes that I went into, and this will be important here in a second, is there's a teacher named Beth, okay? And when I went in there, she's from North Carolina. And I went in there and she's yelling at these kids. And I think, man, this chick is a psycho. Like, she just needs to calm down, right? Long story short, I take over that class. I teach them. Anyway, long story short, we ended up getting married. I ended up marrying Beth, meeting her in Korea. This is a tattoo ring. I don't know if you got, well, this is probably odd. It's my name in Korean on the bottom and her name, Beth, on top. So Kellen and Beth. But sorry, I get sidetracked easy, Dave. You don't have to keep me in line here.
I'm just
all right, and so
I'm just letting you talk. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, New York. So anyway, I was teaching English in Korea, and it was teaching illegally. So then they're like, "Hey, Kellen, we like you. We're not going to kick you out. Thanks for letting me know. But you need to go to Hong Kong for 3 or 4 days to get your visa." So I go to Hong Kong. First time I've been to Hong Kong, it was awesome. Got my visa, and because I was dyslexic and like I definitely didn't know how to read Chinese or whatever it is in Hong Kong. I had these directions, and I'm looking for all these symbols and whatnot, and it was super frustrating and terrifying. But once again, I like worked real hard, talked to a lot of people, and I was able to find the stinking embassy, get my visa, get back on the plane, and went to Korea. And I taught English in Korea for a year. And why it was important for me to go through that is essentially I became what's called like a head teacher in South Korea. And previously to this, so essentially in university, I learned that, you know what, I'm not necessarily cognitively stupid. Okay. Here, when I was the head teacher, I learned that, you know what, people respect me. I can lead people, even in an environment like an education where I don't feel super competent. And then after Korea, I became interested in the military of all places. Okay. And I applied for officer candidate school with the Marines, OCS. Okay. Arguably the hardest, toughest officer candidate program. They even can get people from your place, the colored sergeants or colored Marines. And anyway, so I got accepted. I went through officer candidate school with the Marines, and it was the best, worst experience of my life. Like, I am so glad I did it, but I would never want to do it ever again. Like, point in case, one time we're in there cleaning our weapons, and we're talking about how terrible this is. And like, you know what, if they said you had to do this again, or you could chop off a finger, what would you do? Everybody, without even thinking, is like, the pinky is gone. We chop that sucker straight off. But through OCS, what I learned and what happened is I grew. Let's say my leadership level was here, my confidence was here. It grew exponentially. Why? Because of adversity. Because they were pushing me so far out of my comfort zone that it was either break. It was like the most stressful environment you could be under without getting shot at. It was either, break or adapt and grow. And through that experience, they're like, you know what, Kellen, based on what you've done and what you've said and how the men interact with you, we think you'd be a much better chaplain than you would be a Marine. And I was like, okay, cool. I can be a chaplain. That's fine. Like, but to do that, you need to get what's called a Master's of Divinity. I had no idea what that meant. Okay. Long story short, a Master's of Divinity means that you go to school for it's like getting a doctorate. So it's 3.5-year program. I said, okay, fine. I did that. So once again, more education. I read more books than I thought was humanly possible. I had to write more papers than I thought was humanly possible. Once again, remembering I'm dyslexic. Everybody's been told me I'm stupid, I'm slow, I can't do anything. And when I first started in that program, honestly, because I was with some really, really, really smart people, and I was way behind. Fast forward in the program, and when people from Princeton, from Yale, from Columbia, and all these big other seminaries came, and they wanted to see if the seminary could still be accredited, I was chosen as one of the 5 people to speak with these people. And I spoke with one of the guys from Princeton, and everybody's it's like this broom, and it's like, coat and tie and super posh. And the guy at Princeton, he goes, Kellen, he's like, he's like, I can't imitate your accent. I was going to, but he's like, if we were in an elevator and you had to give me a pitch as to why our universities, your seminary is the best, what would you say? And I was like, well, first off, I would push the emergency stop button, and then I would go in a litany of reasons on why. Anyway, so the room's super serious. He bursts out laughing. He thinks that's hilarious. The whole room gets disrupted. Long story short, we get it accredited. I was the quote unquote savior. It was awesome. And anyway, so then I did officer candidate school with Marines, get my Master's of Divinity. Then I didn't want to be in the Navy anymore because we were pregnant with our first child. I have 3, Axel, Kenna, and Riker. And I don't want to be in the Navy anymore. So then I started looking for jobs, one of which was to be a strength and conditioning coach at the North Carolina Leadership Academy. Okay. And it's a charter school. Went there. Okay. And I did that for about 4 months. And they're like, Kellen, we don't want you to be the strength and conditioning coach. We want you to be an assistant principal, essentially, like in your language, I think it'd be the head of school or vice head of school, and athletic director. And I said no the first 3 times. The first 2 times, the third time I said yes because getting paid as a teacher is trash. So I did that. Fast forward, I did that for 5 years. Started the school, created the policies, because I started there at inception. It got to be the #1 ranked school in North Carolina. And then at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm not stupid. I'm not slow. Okay, I've shown that with persistence, I can do pretty much anything. And in my brain, I've always, David, I've always wanted to be a personal trainer and make money in the fitness business. But in my mind, that's people don't like, that's just like something that high school kids do or people in university do. People can't make serious money. People can't possibly be successful at this. And that was the mindset block that I had. But I was like, well, shoot, I've done, all these things I just talked about. Why in the world? I see other people who are super successful and they own fitness businesses and they seem like they like it, like they enjoy it. Like, why not me? And so I opened up a personal training studio out of my garage. No joke. And I quit the school. And long story short, it was one of the best decisions that I've made. I ended up at month 1, I ended up netting $4,500, which isn't a ton, but for me at that time, that was a ton because it was more money than I was making as an assistant principal athletic director. Fast forward, now I have multiple trainers. I have my own facility. And last year we did not a ton of money, but we did 231,000 gross, and I netted around 120 personally without being present at the studio ever. And so it gave me the flexibility and the ability to just do and come as I wish. So pretty much all I do is nothing like you, nothing like marketing in your sense. I wish I were that cool, but sales and quote unquote marketing. And that's how essentially God has taken me from point A, got me to point B, and diversity has been that path.
Oh, okay. And you're going to say you did all that in like 5 years?
Well, so like the whole, the studio. So I
journey is like, I managed to get it all done, everything in like 5 years. Yeah.
No. That was over 5 years. So I like the entire journey. Like once I came back from Brazil, I was 18 or 17, and now I'm 38. So basically, the bulk of it was in the last 20 years. Yeah. OC, like Korea, OCS, seminary, school, studio.
I can see like the point where you're saying like you wanted to always become a fit pro, and there's definitely people listening and watching this now thinking, you know what, I'm doing my qualification, or I'd like to become a fit pro, and I'm a teacher, or I work in a bank, or I build houses, or I do something. Like you started, like you said, out of your garage. If you have passion, you can start at any level. You don't need to be in studios like we have now. You can literally start in your garage. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like the biggest thing is the same thing they probably are telling their part-time clients, assuming they have part-time clients, is what's the first thing you need to do? Like is take action. Most of the time we've identified what we want to do. Okay. But what inhibits us is 1, our own mindset, and then 2, it's taking action. Right. And I see that with the clients we have. You probably see it with your clients who, like, how many times do people inquire with you with marketing? And they're like, hey, I want to get to have this many clients, but it's whatever the investment is. Oh, well, I don't want to do that. That's like takes me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, getting out of your comfort zone and taking action is a necessary part. Like I went from a steady paycheck, okay, guaranteed. I just show up, smack some kids. I'm joking. I don't really smack the kids around, but essentially talk to kids, and I was making a decent living. Like I think it was 65,000 a year is what I got for the U.S. That's decent. But I took a leap of faith and I risked it. I took action. Was it easy? Heck no. It was terrifying, but it's what I wanted, and so I took action and pursued it.
So a question then, because there will be people at all stages of their life want to become a fit pro, and we just stick with the getting started first. Who, like me, I stop the football coaching and dive straight into the fit, becoming a fit pro? Like you went from a steady paycheck to becoming a fit pro. What was it that both of us must have done to make it work, where others can give up their job, move in, and then still have no clients 1 year later? What is it, do you think, that allowed us to find clients, make sales, and grow the business 1 year on, and not just be still stuck in the same place?
Well, I'll ask that with, I'm gonna ask you the same question, but like, this is what I mean by that. So my guess is when you went all in, did you opened up wherever your place was, you just sit there and be like, all right, doors are open, I have equipment, come to me. I feel like most people who have that narrative where, hey, I've opened the place and I do this, they've taken the action of getting the space ready. They're like, they get the stuff ready, but they don't pursue. They don't tell people. They don't act them. Or how about this? They're like, well, I made posts on Facebook. Like, I told people I'm in business. I feel like those people, they haven't gone all in. They have, like, did you ask your mom if she wants to train with you? I did. I mean, like, I bet you pursued people. Like, you weren't complacent. And that goes back to my time at OCS. Before OCS, if I would have opened up a studio, I promise you, I would not have pursued people, because I would have been scared. Well, what if they say no? What if they're like, because that's uncomfortable. But guess what? You know what's more uncomfortable is seeing your wife and kids not having anything to eat because you didn't make any money. That's more uncomfortable. So I feel like it's a lot of mindset. Like, what was it for you?
Yeah, that was the thing. We were living at Holly's grandparents with no money and nothing. So it was a case of, do you still want to be sat here in 6 months' time with no money, still living on the sofa, or do you actually want to have your own place and actually move forwards? And like you say, that was it. And like you say, even asking your mum, asking your auntie, or asking your mum if she knows anybody who might want to be personal trained or coached or come to a boot camp or whatever it is. And like the big one is online. You see so many people nowadays saying, I want to go online. How do I find clients for my online program? It's like, you need to talk to people, message people on Facebook, reach out to people on Instagram, go down to your local coffee shop and have a conversation with them, hand some flyers out to this community centre, go and chat to the people at the fire station, at the local swimming pool, at this place and that place. Before you know it, people start inquiring.
Yeah, and people don't want to do that, do they?
No, that is the downside. Yeah, because
that's not what you hear. You hear, like, from all these gurus is, hey, just do my 5-step system. Just, I don't know, my messaging system. There's systems just for everything, apparently. But they tell you it's easy, and it's not. Like, there, you get to a point where it, quote on, I don't even say if it ever becomes easy, but you become more efficient, I think, and your confidence goes up, and hearing no doesn't ruin your day. But yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with like just accepting the fact that failure isn't an option.
But I think one of the big things is, like you said there, you just have to keep moving day on day on day on. Like, you've taken 5 years to go from your garage to a studio now where you have almost no involvement. You've got these staff, you're making the money that you are. And if someone comes into your life now and sees, wow, Kellen is living the dream, he's got the perfect job, they've not just seen the year before that, or the year before that, or the year before that, or the year where you actually decided, I'm quitting this full-time job and I'm moving into the garage. They didn't see that. And until they know that, they're all just going to see, like, wow, Kellen's doing amazing. I want to be just like him.
No, that is actually so true. Because I get asked a lot from trainers who inquire to work with us. Be like, hey, I want to work with you guys, learn your systems, and then I want to branch out. And I am unique in the sense where I'm always, if a trainer wants to leave and do their own thing, I'm very supportive of that, because I think it only benefits the community. But 9 times out of 10, I'll be like, okay, awesome. I even have a structured printout on here's how much you're going to make. Here's what you do to get your next raise. You dictate how fast you get there. And it's super clear. Like, okay, you start at, let's say, just keep the math easy, $10 for 30 minutes or whatever it is. It's actually 15. But okay, you want a $2 an hour raise. Okay, you need to read this book on nutrition, and then you need to start doing check-ins with your clients. Okay, once you've done that, I need you to make 3 posts on social media every week. And I'll even give you like a structure on how to do it. You want to make more money? Okay, now you're going to do this. But you know what? Very, very, very few even get past the point of reading that stinking book.
Or it's how they go from this one to this one and just skip all these steps just to get here.
Yes. But like, if you do that, I could hand them the keys to my studio and be like, you know what? It's yours. Boom. And you know what? They would be successful for probably 2, 3, 4 months. And then this is what's going to happen because they don't know all the stuff on the back end. They didn't take the time to learn it or know it. That's 100% right.
Yeah, it is scary. Like, if both of us got started and our initial start was mum, dad, just like give us keys to this studio and said, son, here's a gym. I've just bought you a gym. Here's the keys. Go for it. Like, how would we have progressed? Like, I'm guessing both of us have had to work to get to a point where we've had to put a lot of hours in. But if you just given it, do you think you would have got the groundwork in to make it work when it's just been given to you?
Oh boy. I am arrogant enough to say, yes, I probably would have figured it out. But, like, let's say it was making $100,000 profit a year. That first year, I bet she tanked to 70, 60, 50. So point being is there would still be a learning curve. Yeah. There would be, here's a successful gym. Kellen made it a lot less successful, but as he learned and made mistakes, because that's part of it, like I would hopefully redirect the ship because I wouldn't give up. That's the other thing. But it definitely would okay, Kellen knows nothing. He gets the keys. Here's at 100,000. It wouldn't have done this. Okay. It most likely would have done this, went down. And then once I got that base, got the systems and whatnot, then it could have scaled up. But yeah.
So you've got people out there then who have got to 10 clients, or they've got their first studio, and they've just hit this wall. There's just no getting past this. Taking my second trainer on, opening my second venue, getting past 100 clients, getting past 10 clients. What is the difference between just getting to that point and being stuck and actually being able to, like you say, breaking the obstacle and actually moving forwards with the business?
It's like it's so funny. I was talking to a guy, Grant Gursky. He's a social media online influencer. He has like 180,000 people, and I'm helping him with sales. But anyway, what I was telling him is it's like when you get to a point where you want to scale, it's like you've taken 2-3 steps forward, and now you need to take, let's say you've taken 3 steps forward, now you have to take 2 steps back. So like for me, that was hiring one of the best hires I made in my entire life, Noah Gannon. He is a hero. Okay, he's my manager. But for me to take him on initially, I was going to have to take a $3,000 pay cut because at that time I was training everybody and I was doing all the admin and my life was crazy and it was miserable. And so it was like, what did I ultimately want? Did I ultimately want freedom and the ability to come and go as I wish and to help people online and whatnot? Or was it to be tied down training people from 5 a.m. to stinking 9 p.m. every day? And I was like, and it hurt bad because I worked really hard to get to a financial spot where I was making, in my mind, a lot of money. And I was like, oh, I have to give $3,000 away to Noah and he might not be as awesome as me and my clients might leave and all these narratives. They were never best case scenario either. It was always worst case scenario. They're going to leave. He's going to quit and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, long story short, I was like, ultimately, what did I want more? I wanted freedom. And I was like, one way or another, it's going to cost, it's going to hurt. And I went for it. And that ended up being a fantastic decision. So in that sense, like going from your first hire that was one of your examples is, yeah, you've taken all these steps forward. Now you have to take 2 steps back and actually pay somebody to do your training, and it hurts and it sucks. But then 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, you've been able to train way more people, and now you're earning way more money. And guess what? You're at the beach making calls and signing people up. That feels pretty stinking good.
Yeah, that is the big one. That, like, it is painful, it's hard, it is, sometimes you have to suffer, especially if you take a new trainer on and you're having to take a pay cut. You're like, oh, but like say 5 or 6 months down the line, you're suddenly gone from 20 clients to 40 clients because there's 2 of you, which means your wage can now almost double because you had to take that initial pay cut because you've got more people now you can train. But again, it's all about the mindset stuff. I can make this work. So to finish quickly then, you've mentioned it a few times now, sales. What do you think what's made you so good at sales then?
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to reveal my secrets. So there's these guys in Australia, and I think they're called Systems by Design, I believe. But I don't know if that's terrible. I wish I could remember their actual thing. But Curtis, AP, and Bobby. And basically what I did is I record my call. They gave me a script to use, and it's very, very well done. These people have sold millions upon millions of dollars in online training. And they had me record my calls. And then they would go over those calls and tell me how crappy I was doing in a loving way. And in that, like, I went from being like, closing maybe 10% to easily now from Facebook ads closing 50% of the people I get. And that's just from repetition, doing, learning, and the painful process of like, at least I sucked at it for a long time, and being able to address objections, and honestly more like handling objections before they can even use them. So an example, and it's not perfect, is so David, are you are you married, or no, what was the actual question that I use is so you live by yourself, do you live with others? And you'd be like, oh, I live with others. Oh, and does, your so-and-so, it's better for females, but does so-and-so know that you're on this call today? Or is this, kind of like a secret mission? And then they say, nah, they know. And would they be supportive of you learning the skills so that you could? I even have the script memorized. Like, the point in case, that is how much detail and how much time it takes. If you really want to be good at something, that's what it takes. Fitness, football, life, whatever. And like right now, sales is kind of my passion because it's addicting. It's like a game. And so I was thinking, went all into it, all hard and heavy. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Anything else you think we've missed from this interview so far? Because we've covered playing football in Brazil, to teaching English in South Korea, to getting lost in Hong Kong, to opening a studio and being super successful in just 5 years. Is there anything you think we've missed, or anything else FitPro should really be taken from this call to really get started, or even just move their fitness business forwards?
Yes, actually, there's one thing that I tell every new entrepreneur, whether it's in fitness or anything, and it's something I wish someone would have told me when I first, and I don't think it would have changed anything, but I wish someone would have told me so that I would have been prepared mentally that it was a reality. And it was this, is that like when you go from a guaranteed paycheck every month to, who knows, are you going to get a paycheck? Did you earn one or not? I was blessed. I always did well, but for 4 to 5 months, I lost tons of sleep and had lots of anxiety because I was afraid that they were going to leave. I wasn't going to get more clients, and I wasn't going to be able to provide for my family. And I don't think that would have changed anything. But if I would have known or anticipated that part of it, I think I would have been more prepared for that setting in. And I wish someone would have told me, like, hey, when you go from paycheck, like always collecting a paycheck, to you're not guaranteed a paycheck, it's going to screw with your mind. I wish someone would have told me that. I don't think it would have changed anything, but at least I would have known.
But then you would have been at that point of how prepared do you need to be to then pull the plug?
Yeah. And for me, like like pain gets us to move, right? Just like for our clients. And the pain of where I was at was definitely high enough where I would have moved anyway, but I would have been more prepared. But like, it's so true. And I use this analogy all the time, but like, we as human beings, we say we want all this pleasure. Like, I want to look better. I want my 6-pack, whatever it is. I want a 6-figure business. But really, if you're comfortable here, if the pain of where you're at isn't big enough, like, you're not going to force, like, the happy place is just going to be a myth. But if the pain of where you're at is big enough and strong enough where you're like, screw this, I need to change, you're going to stink and do it.
Nice. Okay, so for anybody listening who wants to know more about some of these stories, I don't know, there's so many stories you've come up with so far, or they just want more knowledge on sales, or they're just interested in Kellen yourself, is it okay if people reach out and have a chat with you?
Yeah, of course, I'd love to. Sales is what I'm good at, especially now. So I've definitely helped a lot of fitness professionals improve their sales games based off of the training I've gotten. Or if you just want to chat, like, I'm not a guru at all. Like, I do personal training. That's it. I do some online stuff. But this is just like you said, hey, do you want to do a podcast? I said, yeah. And while we're on the topic, I am looking for another marketing person for my Facebook ads because I suck at it. So we can have this conversation after you cut this off, if that's cool too.
No problem at all. But how can people reach out to you? What is the best way?
Oh, gotcha. So Kellen, I'll just give you my email, kellen@justyoufitness.com. Or if you Google like personal trainer Winston-Salem, Just You Fitness will be the top ranked in Google.
Perfect. Kellen, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming on. For anybody that is watching or listening or wherever you're consuming this, do reach out to Kellen or follow him on Facebook. There's always lots of information going on. But yeah, again, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll hopefully get you on again to follow up on the amazing life of Kellen.
Yeah, we'll try. Sounds like a plan, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you too.
Okay, so that was Kellen giving us a great story about how he's managed to battle through all these obstacles to get him to a place of where he is now, running his super successful fitness business and also helping people with their sales. If you want to reach out to Kellen, like he said, just do reach out onto Facebook or email or head over to his page and have a chat with him from there. I'm going to leave it there for this week's guest interview. I'll speak to you all in the next video. Cheers.